everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of September 18th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone present to please silence all electronic devices. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please stand for invocation and the pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey. Here. District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here. Now's the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any item coming before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment on items to be placed on a future board agenda or other business under their purview. Public comment for public hearing items taken during those individual public hearings beginning at 1:30 p.m. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer located on the podium will start the countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound. The light will change from green to yellow, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After the time is up, two beeps will sound. The light will change from yellow to red, indicating that 3 minutes is up and it's time for you to finish your comments. At this time, I would like to ask Sheriff Naco to come speak to the board first. Welcome.
Thank you. Chris Naco, 8700 Citizens Drive. I don't actually live there, but.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it's gonna. I just want to come over and say thank you. And, as we work through this budget process, and, Dan and Eric and his team, phenomenal. I mean, this is probably one of the smoothest processes that ever happened. So I just wanted to come here to say thank you very much. And, when we talk about where the budget and how it goes, and, so you're aware and you already know about the mental health unit that's already in place. Because of that, because we were able to get this budget going so smoothly, we knew where the money was going to go. We already have one team in place. The second team will be out there soon. So 7 days a week, there'll be a mental health unit out there. And, we're not going to be able to solve every problem out there, but we're getting ahead of the curve. And so, I suspect we'll come back here in a couple months just to let you know how that team is doing. And I can tell you across the board, your ACAs are working with us, whether it be the opioids, the mental health, the homeless issue. Those are things we just don't arrest people for. But we have to solve it as a community because those are issues that are impacting us. And those are things that people see and people want to help reach out to. So your team is doing a great job working with ours. And that's one of those things I just want to bring light to you to say thank you very much because the budget process went so smoothly. With your support, we're going to be making great impacts out there on the street in our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Sheriff?
Sheriff? Yes, sir,
Sheriff, I
Mr.
want to thank
Maryland.
you with your team. I mean, I know with this homeless stuff is tough, and I think you're taking the right approach with mental health. So working with us every step of the way has been fantastic. Working the way that you did with the budget, do it up front, so we can kind of work it all out together was phenomenal, so thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We all appreciate everything you do for us. We really do.
Thank you, Chairman, very much.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
So you and I know we've got this ongoing problem in Holiday, and especially at that bus stop at Wawa. And I went there again yesterday with staff, and it's basically the same 4 guys that are hanging out in that bus stop all day long. And after sitting in on the congressman's homeless veterans meeting the other day, I'm wondering if some of these guys aren't veterans.
All right.
And maybe if we get some kind of pilot program growing, maybe those 4 gentlemen might be good folks for the
candidates,
pilot program. So
And that's
I don't know what to do for them. I just want to help them.
Right. No, and I get, and Kathy and her team do a good job because that's what we're trying to find them resources. A lot of times what we sadly find is that they want to be out there. And it takes a long time for them to trust, because if you find them adequate housing or you find them something, they're used to just being out there. So, no, that's one of the things through the veterans, if we can help them, that's why we have the veterans, establishing the veterans court, and in our housing unit, is to get them help so that when they leave, they have establishment. One of the things that was brought up that was interesting is, before they get to the point that they're homeless, that they're addicts and they're dealing with issues, that we can come up, get them as soon as they come back, when they deal with the traumas of being overseas, or what they saw, is that, give them help before they get into that position. And that's why I say, not for this meeting, but for us to start thinking about is, it looks like these opioid companies are starting to run scared now.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to be able to recover some of the losses, only a small percentage, because the lives that we lost due to the opioid epidemic is huge. But we can start coming up with a game plan as a county to say, this is how we're going to address this issue, so that we can find them help. Because, when you see them starting to try to cut deals, they recognize they were in the wrong.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that program that you and I are involved in with the 4 counties, I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm hopeful that we can take that opioid money and put it to good use for some of these mental health 911 kind of walk-in emergency facilities. Plus, we need a place to take them besides the jail.
No, you're right, Commissioner. That's what I said. If we can do the mental health emergency rooms and partner with a private sector that they can operate it, but it always comes down to, when you look at the issue, it's the beds. And Pasco has lagged behind, and it's not any of our fault. This is, it has to be an investment from the private sector to have those beds in our community. And, we're half the amount of beds on average. That is the issue that we're seeing a lot. And then for many people, their resources, and I see the fire chief here too, it's calling 911 to have either the fire department show up or the sheriff's office show up, and we're not the ones that were designated to solve that issue, and that's why we need to get the mental health ERs up and running.
One of the big discussions that came out of this meeting with Congressman Bilirakis and the, I can't remember the name of his committee, but he had a committee meeting here, a congressional committee meeting here, was that that if we can hang on to our Sadowski Trust Fund money, there may be some funds there that we can put towards some of this some of this problem. And I understand that the Panhandle needed everyone in Florida's help last year, and a lot of that money went there last year. But I think if we all work with our delegation to see if we can't hang on to some of that money, we can put it to really good use.
Right. You're right.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, one other thought too.
Mr. Morano.
Just found out this morning that the Suncoast Recovery Center up on Hudson Avenue just got their demolition permit. So Esther and Don did a phenomenal job working through the process, but that will be a place you can actually take these people
that'd be
through
great.
detox and treatments that could last as long as 9 months or just even 3 or 4 days. So it would be an alternative for us coming up.
How many beds in there?
It looks like 35 beds. It could go higher depending on how it plays out.
Okay.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir. Now, this is public comment time, and we have a sign-up sheet. Madam Clerk, would you please read maybe the first 3 names?
Okay. The first 3 names are Clyde Carter, Melissa Smith, and Daryl Stevenson Sr. If Clyde Carter could please come up to the podium. Melissa and Ms. Smith and Mr. Stevenson, please be ready.
Okay.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Pull that mic down to you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just
Good morning,
need-
Commissioners. I'm Reverend Clyde E. Carter, 14620 10th Street, Dade City, Florida, 33523. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Ron Oakley, as the president of the Pasco County NAACP Branch 5630, I would like to address a recent statement concerning Commissioner Jack Morano of District 5 for the record. Recently, Commissioner Morano, it was brought to my, correction, sir?
Mariano?
Mariano, pardon, sir. Brought to my attention, you posted on Facebook a reference, a 9/11
Mr. Chairman, hate
excuse me.
to interrupt the speaker, but citizens' comments are a limited public forum. As the chairman explained, they are to be used for items which are on this agenda or are going to be on a future agenda or within their purview. What the commissioner has posted or not posted is not appropriate for citizens' comments.
So would you like to make an appointment with the commissioner, sir?
Yes, sir, that would be
can do
good.
This is not
But it's not
a
the place to
public
do it.
forum to do this.
I understand, sir.
Okay.
I will make an appointment with the commissioner and directly to him at that time.
Okay?
Thank you very
That'd be
much.
great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Amanda's in the office now, so you can make that appointment up.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Melissa Smith? Melissa Smith? All right. Daryl Stevenson? Following Daryl will be Susan Morgan, Ron Orchard, and Cheryl Orchard. Please state your name and address for the record.
Darrell Stevenson, P.O. Box 1507, Newport Richey 34653.
Okay?
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman. I'm also here reference to Jack Mariano's
Okay.
posting on Facebook that
Right.
I feel is racist.
If you will,
Islamophobic.
this is not the place for that.
Not the
If you will,
place.
set up a meeting with him personally, and that's not an issue on our agenda or one in our
Not.
future agenda. It's
Okay.
not. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I
All right.
appreciate you, and
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, sir.
Susan Morgan?
Hi, good morning. My name is Susan Morgan. Address is 8550 Coral Creek Loop, Hudson, Florida 34667. And good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I am here today representing the estates of Beacon Woods East, which is located off of Hudson Avenue and Little Road. The estates is intertwined with the Loman's Link Golf Course, which, I don't know, you may or may not know that Loman Links Golf Course has closed, which has, it closed down as of June 10th. The residents of the estates of Beacon Woods Golf and Country Club Property Owners Association, which is our master board, which is an 880-unit development, approached Kona expressing a number of concerns as a result of the closing of the Links Golf Course. The neighborhood that I live in, the Estates and Reserve, has the greatest number of homes along the course. Fairway Oaks, our neighbor consisting of 357 homes, are also impacted by this problem. The most urgent concern is the safety and welfare of our community. The present ordinance that is in place now requires that the golf course only mow around the perimeter of the course. The problem arises with the abandoning of the course itself. Allowing the course to become overgrown has invited more vermin, snakes, coyotes, and now we're seeing homeless people on the course as well. And in addition to the course, the course is designed to accept stormwater drainage, and if left unmaintained, this will impact the safety of our community, as this also includes standing water, which attracts mosquitoes. The second concern is that we purchased our homes in a golf course community and paid premium prices for our homes. With an abandoned course and signs of closure, these same homes will be reduced in value, which lowers the value and tax income as well. Quoted in a newspaper article here by Mr. Lohman that owns the Links Golf Course, he says, maybe when the grass gets overgrown, who knows, suggesting that the communities may come together with a plan. So it seems to us that maybe that is the plan, to allow it to just not be maintained. Let's see. I have a sample here of an ordinance from Winter Garden, and we ask that you please consider a similar ordinance or amending the existing ordinance to help preserve both the safety and values of the communities in Pasco County.
Motion received and filed.
Second.
Motion received and filed.
can bring that
All
up.
those in favor?
Actually, that ordinance is already part of the record, but.
I submitted that a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
Meeting.
so staff is
okay.
actually working on that ordinance right now
But
for
if-
us to go adopt it.
If,
But if you still want to hand that to the clerk, you're welcome.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, next.
Ron Orchard, followed by Cheryl Orchard, followed by John Love. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Ron Orchard, 6719 Manor Beach, Newport Richey. Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Chairman. I'm here with the Green Key Neighborhood Watch. What we're looking for is some help getting the area cleaned up again. It's been going down. We've had a lot of good help already with stuff going in there. We appreciate that. We'd like some help yet getting Green Key Avenue itself, Green Key Road, cleaned up. We had an officer come in yesterday. We had a little community meeting, and basically he turned down Green Key and said, wow, where am I going? This place is a mess. Just from the brush and the trees that are overhanging the road, it's very poor. Need some help cleaning that up in there. It's part of the area. They came in and cut the grass on some of Green Key and Olsner Avenue. When they came through with the mowers, they didn't bother picking anything up, which I understand they're not going to pick up little pieces of paper. But it looks like they took the mower and ran over a mattress that was laying there. Now that mattress is spread out with all the foam and everything else all over the place. It's something that needs to be addressed with the mowing people, that they need to be aware of what's out there to some extent anyway. You know, I understand they're not going to pick up a piece of newspaper, but don't create a bigger mess. The neighborhood's going down. We're trying to bring it back up. We don't need the help taking it down, okay? There's homeless living on the corner of Olsner and Bow. They've been there for a long time. We brought this up with code at different times. They said they can't get a hold of the owner of the property. Okay? Yesterday I went online, Google, pulled up the area, found the address that we have on record with the property. It belongs to a spa out in Vegas. Okay?
What?
Yeah, the owner's there. So what I did is there's an email for the spa. I emailed the spa asking for help with it. I got a response back this morning on it saying, hey, do you know anybody that can clean it up for us? And give me a phone number. So it's not that hard to get the number, so I don't know why we haven't already done it. So I'm going to try and get that to, I guess, code where that would go and see if we can get this taken care of. Okay? So these can't be taken care of if we're working. You know, as a citizen, I'm willing to help with it, but I shouldn't have to do the legwork that they've been trying for 10 years to get. So
Well, and Micah Tharp is right in the back there, so,
okay. I'll get with him. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cheryl Orchard. I live at 6719 Manor Beach Road, Newport Richey. I'm here today to talk about stormwater. I've been working with this area for a long time on Manor Beach Road. We have a culvert that goes back to the bayou. The flap's been broken for years and years and years, and the pipes haven't been cleaned out. And I seen a 90-year-old man with 2 bum legs out there in the pouring rain trying to clear that culvert. And I said, it's got to be stopped, because what happens there, when the tidal water comes up, the tide comes up and it goes through those pipes, it goes 3 streets over. And the lowest one is Sierra. Them streets stay flooded for 3 weeks to a month if we don't get rain. Stormwater, George Thomas and your new engineer, Laura, they've been phenomenal. We've been working with them. They come and clean the pipes out, but what happened, we got a city building new homes on the corner of Green Key. They're hauling dirt in, and the dirt's been hauled in there for about 8 weeks. They did put plastic around. They did fence around it. But on the road going down Green Key, we had the Steve from Stormwater come and look over the area. All that dirt was running and clogged them pipes back up. It went back in the bayou to Mr. Marfone's property, and the whole back bayou was covered with that coffee-looking water from the dirt that was washed down the street. Now, I made the city aware of that. I took pictures and I talked to the city about it. I also had Stormwater come out. They said we need all new drain pipes in there. Some could be stopped up with tree limbs, whatever. It's not flowing, so it's staying. I've even tried for, when Mr. Garrett was in, to have the ditch lines on Werner, Green Key, dug a little deeper or cleaned up so the water can flow. So we're trying real hard in there to get the neighborhood cleaned up. And I want to give kudos to Code, Pauline Smith, Brian Simon, Celeste that was in there that come out and they faced dangerous situations in there with squatters in houses that they have to go and address, neighbors having needles thrown over their fence. A lot of issues in there that we're trying. So we're going to do this neighborhood watch and hope that we have hope. We have hope that people will listen and the lots will get cleaned up and just clean our neighborhood up because the crime is getting so bad in there. And there's got to be at least, so many different places that they're not selling popcorn out of over there, and it's getting worse. We can't even walk. You know, it's too dangerous. It's getting that bad. So I appreciate anything that you can do. I also have some paperwork I want to hand to every one of you so that you can look it over.
Motion received and filed.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Passed.
Cheryl, just right over there, yeah. And Cheryl, Nancy Nites from Gulf Highlands has set up a neighborhood watch. She's been running for a couple of years up there. She's willing to come out and actually talk with others that are trying to do the same thing. That might give you some good ideas. We have meetings with the sheriff. We have other people from the county staff to come out there, so I'd be happy to try to work that out with you, too.
Had a police officer come out and go over that with us already 2 days ago.
Excellent.
And we've already pulled up to have signs made to purchase for the neighborhood. And already, just in one day, we've got about 40 signs signed up for. So we are working very hard in that neighborhood.
Excellent.
So anything you can do to check that out for us, we'd appreciate it.
And we'll try to help with that stormwater stuff, because if there's some violations that are out there, I'm sure our staff will be helpful with that.
I'm really happy about the response so far, and it's supposed to be done at the end of the month, so if not, I'll be back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is John Love, 6707 Sierra Terrace. I'm also with this group of people from the Green Key area. You're going to hear a lot of problems today about that area. I believe the root of that problem is the aging infrastructure, the flooded roads, there's no sidewalks, hardly any street lights, houses that are dilapidated that should be knocked down. One of the biggest problems that we run into when trying to have things accomplished in that area is the intertwine of city and county property. If you drive down Green Key Road, part of the street is paved, has nice lines, street lights, and then you go 100 yards and it's an unpaved, it's paved but not striped, no street lights. Another 100 yards, that area is paved. It's because it intertwines. So we will try to get things accomplished and the finger gets pointed back and forth as to that's not our problem, that's city, that's county. There needs to be some collaborative and cooperative effort between the city and the county to clean that area up. You guys have an excellent opportunity. Next week, there's a meeting between Pasco, Port Richey, and New Port Richey. It can't be done. I equate it to two boys sharing a room, and only one cleans up his mess at a time, and the room is never clean.
Right.
So you got to come together, figure it out. You know, we can't do it on our own. We're trying by calling code enforcement, by coming to these meetings and addressing the problem, but it's things that we can't do. We can't get out there and pave the roads ourselves. We need help from both city and county together, and I think you guys have an excellent opportunity next week to put that on the agenda and talk about the Green Key area. You have a great park at the end of the road, but nobody wants to drive through Green Key to get to Green Key Beach. There's lots of opportunities out there for development, and I think you have an excellent opportunity next week to bring it up. So that's my time. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, before you go, sir, thank you for coming out and getting involved in the community. It's very important to have everybody involved. We've talked about doing Green Key Road. We did Hudson Beach a while ago. I suggested we actually go look at that. We knew we had to go work with the city, but you're right, with the meeting coming up, it's a perfect time to do it. So maybe, Mike, we can actually look at the stormwater stuff, getting a sidewalk done, bring it all the way through, and I think the light's a great idea as well.
Yeah, and the street lights, I mean, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic on both Olsner, Green Key, and the streets around there. I come home late at night driving down that street, and I'm, worried that somebody's going to run out in the street, and it's going to, affect my life in a negative way too. But just fixing Green Key, there's so many side streets and things around it that are affected also. So it needs to be the entire area. And that's the problem, is that some streets are city, some are county. So it just needs to be a massive undertaking by both enterprises.
It'll be a topic.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Okay. The next person signed up is David Hayes, followed by Clint Gordon, followed by Alan Rose. Mr. Hayes.
Name and
David
address
Hayes,
for the clerk.
4824 16th Street in Zephyr Hills. I had some stuff prepared, but First Amendment says I'm allowed to petition my government for a redress of my grievances. Since I'm not allowed to talk about Jack's racist posts on Facebook, and I'm not allowed to ask for his resignation here, my question would be, what is then the forum for us to redress, for addressing these grievances?
First Amendment allows you to have the discussions in a public forum. As I said in my comments, this is a limited public forum. It's only for those things that the chairman announced.
I understand that. So what is the forum for our grievance?
If there are violations of state law, it would be the state. This is a non-charter county. This board doesn't have jurisdiction over its individual members.
Yeah,
Main thing you need to do is make an appointment with Mr. Mariano's secretary. Thanks, sir. Next.
Mr. Gordon.
Name and address for the
Name is Clint Gordon, 12055 Lacey Drive, Newport Richey, 34654. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Clint, as I said. I'm with the Tampa Bay Water Ski Show Team. I'm the president this year. And just wanted to follow up. I sent an email last week, and I have the kind of the one-page document with me. I'd love to give you guys, let you take a look at it. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and we would love to have your consideration to use the north shoreline of the SunWest mines as our new home for putting on free water ski shows. So we've been in the area, again, for over 40 years, 26 years in Oldsmar. And we have a great family atmosphere, as well as getting the community involved. We have been out there and done several shows at either the SunWest Park, the county-owned one, or also the private one, and they've gone very well. A lot of our insurances are already on file, things like that. So I would just like to petition for maybe a future agenda item. And if you guys have any questions, my contact information is on this letter, and I would love to discuss with any of you any questions you have, concerns, but I think it would be a great fit. So.
Mr. Mariano.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, they're great skiers. What a great ski team it is. They're actually practicing it out on the northern lake at Sunless Harbor Town. When they came first to see us, we were in the middle of getting ready to do the RFI, so we couldn't really structure an agreement depending how that was going to go out. We're also in the middle of the building the sidewalk on the north end. Now that the sidewalk is done, the wall is up, it's actually an opportune time. The second bathroom's open. It's an opportune time to actually make another attraction out there. As we're going to come into the slower season for the park fees, these guys work on donation. So when they come out there at Oldsmar, the lake they had, people come down there, they come from all over the place to come to see them. They run a little concession where they do sodas and whatever to kind of make a little bit of money as well. But they run all their expenses. They can cover all their own insurance. There's no benefit. I mean, there's no expense to us, and it's all benefit for the citizens in the park itself. So if we could maybe, Mr. Bowles maybe set a meeting up to kind of try to work out something to bring back to the board.
Well, we'll have Keith, our Parks Director, get with them and see if they can work something out.
I appreciate it.
Have Keith reach out to him, so.
Okay.
That'd
Would
be
you guys
good.
like the copy
Yes.
that have there's 8 or 9 copies?
Second.
Is there, how
Motion
many
and
copies do
second.
you have?
All those in
I
favor
think I've
say
got
aye.
9 total.
Great. Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion-
I got a
Motion
quick
passed.
question while he's walking away. So do you have any former Cypress Garden skiers?
Yes, in fact,
Okay, great.
about 15 or 20 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
we're very heavily tied. It's now Legoland, and a lot of our skiers that grow up here end up going and skiing there professionally.
I love it.
And there is a promotional video in that email I sent, and if you'd like it to be sent directly to you, I can send that to you so you can kind of see what we do. So
That's
thank
my
you for
first job at 15 years old was the Cypress Gardens.
Nice.
$3.45 an hour.
We're up to about $150 a day now, from what I
Kind
understand.
of was
Thank you guys for your
overpaying
time.
or what?
Thanks, Clint.
Overpaid me.
Name and address.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Alan Rose, 10221 Hilltop Drive, Newport Richey, Florida, 34654. I have documents for the record, please. I'd like to submit.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
It's all about coastal Pasco County once again, and our dredging hopes. Dear Commissioners, 3 years ago, I consulted in dredging and planning with Dewberry. I gave them good insight to what Pasco County needs were. Then Commissioner Mariano lined me up with the Parks and Recreation. I had a substantive meeting and was advised dredging was in the outlying years, and would no longer be involved as it was being transferred to engineering. More recently, I had a meeting with Commissioner Starkey, with Mr. Wiley and others discussing the Maritime Master Plan for Pasco County and the CBRA, Coastal Barrier Resource Act, and available funding for dredging. Mr. Wiley once again advised myself and Commissioner Starkey this was in his outlying plans a couple of years. He does not have the staffing to be able to address these needs. Commissioner Starkey advised he needs to bring this into next year rather than leaving it in the outlying years. And I really thank you. I have been bringing, most recently, I've been bringing $57 million in available grants and direct funding specifically for our coastal Pasco County every month. There's anywhere from $50 to $100 million available every month for coastal remediations like I'm seeking. And all we have to do is apply for it. I've given you copies of the application. It's very simple. You fill it out. You attach a copy of the master plan. But further on here, recommendations would be to re-engage Dewberry. They have the staffing. Since we don't have the staffing in the county, it may be too much of a burden. Re-engage Dewberry or another consulting company like that. They already have the staffing in place. They know where the funds are. They can go after these funds that I've brought to the counties. And every month I've been sending an email with these specifics to show the funding that's there. If you only get 1% of that money that's available every month, we're talking $500,000 to $1 million a month to assist in coastal Pasco County remediations. All right, and then in the meantime, we need action. Green Key, we've lost the beach. Sure. The beach is gone at Green Key. There's a picture in here to show you that. We're down 2 feet. We need at least 2 feet of fill in there. Now, there's once again, an easy fix to this. Instead of bringing in all this fill sand, you build a barrier on the eastern side of it, and build it out 600 feet. It's a structural jetty. Build it out 600 feet. That will gather all the silt and sediment that's coming in and wash it up and refill your beach. And you'll now have sand on the beach without having to bring it in. This will do naturally for what we need to have done. It will also be protecting the mangroves that are back there, because right now the mangroves are being silted in, and it's also affecting negatively on the mangrove situation there. And it also will help Green Key with their flooding problems. So
Thank you for your
that's for
comment.
today.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would like to see us applying for some of these. I don't think it's good that we're not. And as a matter of fact, when they were talking about Green Key, I pulled it up on the map. I'm like, they need a jetty. And frankly, I'd like to see one at Key Vista too. So we were talking about, as we dredge, what to do with some of that material. I don't know if you can put it there, but I'm in agreement that we should be applying for some of these grants, and it's frustrating to see opportunities being lost.
Is there, Mr. Biles, is there a reason we haven't filed for some of these grants, or
Can I help with this?
have we and just not be?
Can I help with this? If I could?
Go ahead.
We have recently hired a firm to actually help us with grants, Langston. They work with the Gulf Coast Consortium, so they got to kind of stay away from anything to do with the Gulf Coast Consortium. But he's going to be up at the FAC meeting, and he's asked me to meet with him before the consortium meeting, so I'm going to be meeting with him. Commissioner Starkey, if you want to meet with him separately, that might be a good thing too, but I do plan to meet with him, so I'm going to take all your suggestions here, and we're going to have a conversation about it. He's going to come down here at some point later on, but at least I'll start with him next week up there on that, and we're going to look at every one that you've got here and start that conversation.
What this brings down to real quick is that it's waterways management. And this concerns whether you're stormwater management, whether you're coastal waterways. We have a 30-mile coastline, and I don't believe we have anyone in place that knows waterways management and how to take care of every issue. I mean, I hear Green Key regularly on the flooding. I hear these different issues, and it's a lot of water. And so you might consider finding someone that understands the waterways management issues.
This company's the right one.
So when the head of the Army Corps, the colonel, I guess, was here a few years ago, and we flew over Trinity and the flooding areas. We started at the headwaters of the Anklet River, and we followed it all the way out to the mouth of the Gulf. And he commented on the silt that is building up in the Anklet River on our side of the county. Now, Pinellas County just got federal money to dredge their part of the Anklet River because they built a boat and then they couldn't get it out. They built a ship, actually. I believe we're going to have a problem in the Anklet River if we don't do something about it. And you can just go to Google Earth, follow it up, and you can see all the silt that's built up there. And from what I understand, that also keeps, helps to back up the water, and it could drain, may be able to drain faster if we cleared out some of those waterways. So I think there's opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there on the, when you talk about Anklet Island, that is actually part of the coastal barrier resource system. And it actually has a number, and you can address it. You go to FEMA, and you can apply for it. And what would work for actually naturally removing that silting, again, is another type of a barrier built east-west, and your silt will gather up on the north side, and it will open that channel back up that's between the island and the river.
I
All
have
right,
one
thank
more.
you for your
wait,
comments,
I have
sir.
a question. One question for him.
One
So
question.
I went by the sandbar Saturday. Pretty much gone. It's like all flattened out all over the place. Do you know if we're allowed to build that back up, or?
Yes, and you can go to the Coastal Barrier Resource Act because that is an active element of it. And the federal government will sponsor it and it'll be taken care of. You just have to bring them what your issue is with that parcel, and tell them what your solution,
I don't know if the sandbar is listed. I know Anklet Key is listed.
It's part of it. It's part of it, and we own 80% of that, and that's under our purview, and we can take care of that by just asking.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next three signed up to speak are Gail Swedberg, Charles Moore, and James Wagner.
Good morning. My name is Gail Swedberg, 4917 Largo Terrace, Newport Richey, 34652. Pretty much a lot that I was going to bring up, my neighbors have brought up with their concerns already. I'm just a new resident to Newport Richey. I've been in Florida 15 years, but just bought my property in December in Green Key, which we've started our Neighborhood Watch program. We're really excited about that. From what I understand, the new culvert valves have been ordered already to start and take care of the underground issues, and they've cleaned some of the mangroves out as well to help with that drainage. However, at the corner of Largo Terrace and Olsner, they kind of made a makeshift drain to let some of the water from Largo Terrace drain off. There's still standing water there, but as it rains, it flows down. Garbage cans, garbage goes with it, okay, and goes down to that culvert, which is pretty much Largo Terrace now. The street itself looks like it's on a slant, and even though it's a low area, there's ruts and holes and everything in there. Having no sidewalks, the corner of Olsner and Largo Terrace is a bus stop. So the children are standing right at that low-laying area that is probably a couple feet, if that, to the water. And when tide's in, the water is right up there. There's an odor, of course, because it's had a problem for so many years. So hearing that, the streets may get attended, and I know the allotted amount this year has gone for streets being done, is the way I understand it. But also that corner, several vehicles have gone into the water, turning for whatever reason when they're driving, whether it's at night, they're impaired, whatever, have ended up sitting there, and they can't get out. So one of the suggestions we had at our Green Key Neighborhood Watch meeting, our first one the other day, was to try to get a guardrail on that corner because the water is right there. Okay, So I've scratched off everything else because it's been addressed already. But those are some main concerns, all of the streets down there. And Public Works has patched some of them up, but still Largo Terrace in the front of my home and my neighbors, it's just potholes.
Is that in the county or in the city? I know what the
Mine
north,
is a county
the east
road,
side is of
and
Olsner is.
Yeah.
But
And
I
it's very
live on-
confusing. And like I said, I've just moved there. My neighbors are informing me as what's city, what's county, and it does get confusing. But those areas, they are on top of it. And code as well. They have been wonderful with coming down and addressing and cleaning up issues. A lot of the homes in the area have been sold and redone and either flipped, or there's families with young children that are renting in there. So, I'm sure they have concerns too, but they haven't been in the area that long either. So from the neighbors that have been there, is that me?
That's you.
Okay. From the neighbors that have been there longer than they've had these issues ongoing, and we're just starting to bring them up again and form this committee and try to get those things
Thank you
taken
for your
care of.
comments. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
If you would, before you go,
Whose
it's
district
my
is that?
district.
It's yours?
Yeah, I don't see
Okay.
Ainsley here, but I'd like to get a note of those potholes. We've got a real good crew that's about a 3-day wait, sometimes less, to get potholes filled, so I do see Ainsley. Ainsley, put your hands up. See that gentleman right there, let him know where those potholes are, we'll get that work done right away for you.
Okay,
All
wonderful.
right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Charles Moore. I live at 4923 Largo Terrace, Newport Richey, and I beg your indulgence to expand the conversation just a little bit more on the stormwater. On Largo Terrace, there's a large puddle that forms after the rain. It's still there today. It's been there so long from a previous rain that tadpoles are existing in this puddle. I say that just to illustrate how long the water persists. And if tadpoles can hatch from eggs, then so can mosquitoes. And that counters the effort that the county makes to abate the mosquito nuisance. It's also a problem because school children have to cross this puddle on the way to catch a school bus up at Olsner. And this water, after a rain, persists from one side of the road to the other. And the only way they can really reach a school bus is to go through another resident's yard. People driving on the road drive to the shallower side, which puts them on the wrong side of the road. Another problem. And many residents of Green Key are investing in their homes. I urge the county to similarly invest. This puddle here that I'm talking about is not serviced by any kind of culvert. Culvert was never created to drain this. There is one nearby at Sierra Terrace, but it's of no help. I urge that a county engineer on his next visit, and I know he'll be visiting soon, take a look at this, and hopefully he'll visit after the rain and can see this puddle in its full glory. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
James Wagner, followed by Kelly Smith, and then followed by Diane Finney.
James Wagner, 6718 Sierra Terrace. I have not a lot more to add. It's just that I lived on Sierra Terrace since my father-in-law bought it in 1973. We've been paying taxes there for continuously until now, and all I've ever seen on that road is neglect. I mean, it's they put the sewers in 1993, and ever since then, it's had low spots. And you talk about pollywogs. I've got pictures of ducks on, a week after rains. So, and like I say, the water comes in. You live on the Gulf of Mexico. The water comes in, but it would go out right away. It'd be no problem. I've had occasions where I've got chased out of my garage because of mosquitoes, and I've just never really see a big response in this area. And the reason I'm standing up here now is just want to show you that people are getting fed up with it, and we appreciate a little bit of help there. We've had some help, and it's been positive, but we could use a lot more. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Sure.
Morning, Commissioners. Kelly Smith, 3537 Fordingale Drive, Wesley Chapel, Florida. I'm here today to ask for a future agenda item, and that would be to address the ethical nature of the use of social media by county commissioners and elected officials.
If it's a personal, I mean, they can take up, you're talking about an ordinance? What
Well, I'm
sort of-
talking about a policy. Obviously, there's been reference to a particular incident this morning, but there are other issues of the use of social media by elected officials and whether or not it's appropriate. For example, whether or not it's appropriate to block a constituent on social media.
That's within the purviews of your public comment.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good
Name and
morning.
address.
Diane Finney, 6400 Kathleen Drive, Hudson, Florida. I'm back again concerning the fallen seawalls. For over 2 years, I've been sending pictures from 2017 to the commissioners concerning this matter. Jack has a bunch of them and everything else like that. What the problem is, you know, the seawalls are old. They were built in 1968, and back then they connected them all. And because of that, with them being connected, if one goes down, it takes another one down. The house next to us, the wall was existing there in 2017. I showed pictures of it. It is now down. Due to it coming down, we had to replace our seawall 2 years ago. Right now, the property said it has been sold, but due to it being sold, we saw people that came over and turned around and told us that they do not have to fix that seawall at all, that it can stay the way it is. They were flippers that came, looked at it. We also, my husband went up to the building department and asked them about, you know, the house because we were going to put a bid in, and they turned around and said, because it was flooded 3 times, that house has to come down. The flippers are saying, no, it's that 50-50 law and everything, and that they can come in, fix that house for $20,000, $30,000, walk away without putting a seawall in. Due to that, our seawall, the property has come back at least 4 feet, if not more, in those 2 years. All that dirt is running into the canal. There's a tree that's on that property now that is dead due to the erosion of the land. And, you know, I thought an ordinance was paid for, passed to, you know, maintain these seawalls and stuff like this. I've been here at the meetings. They said it was passed, and since then I have not seen anything done with this seawall. It's a continue ongoing thing.
I'll answer that. So last year, we gave the code enforcement department money to get a boat, but I believe it's minimum housing in the building department that is going around checking all the seawalls, and they're inventorying all of them on the coast, and people will be required to fix and maintain their seawalls and to fix and maintain docks that are hazardous.
Okay, I have a question. Then the house that has been vacant for 6 years was just purchased. So the new people coming in need to replace that seawall? We're being told that they don't have to. They don't have to put one up. Meanwhile, that's affecting our property.
I don't think, I don't think the person in charge, if you could meet with Esther outside, she'll explain to you what's going on and maybe get that address.
Well, like I said, you know,
But we're taking care of that.
I know, but I'm just saying, you know, this ordinance supposedly was passed.
Why don't you go on outside, and Esther will
Esther will
help
go with
that.
you and answer some of their questions. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. And
Yes,
just,
sir.
listen, I hate to bring this up, but
We're
it's been the
two-
policy since 2014 that we do not have back and forth dialogue during public comment. Public comment is for public comment. If somebody wants to if we want to bring something up at the end of the day during our items, then we discuss that.
Yep.
And this
I
has happened
agree.
in the last few meetings. So I know all of us have done it, but we need to get back to our policy, have public comment. If there's an item that needs to be brought back, we bring it back as commissioners, okay?
Okay.
We all good with that?
Good.
All right, thank you.
Or we can send them to meet with staff.
That's
can
also another
explain it.
policy that we've had since 2014.
Next.
Okay, one last opportunity for Melissa Smith.
And if anyone else is,
Okay, and that's all I have written down for the list.
Not here. Is anyone else in the room wish to speak to public comment at this time? Come forward, line up. State your name and address for the clerk.
My name's Tony Gonzalez. I live at 16677 Albright Road in Shady Hill.
Okay.
I have a situation. We bought the house 2 years ago, going on 3 years. As you can see, and code enforcement is tired of it too. This is nothing but complaints from one person in my neighborhood. Okay? I'm trying to find a way to get this guy off me, okay? I drive a heavy wrecker, and that's my office. I bring it home one time in the week to wash it, clean it, just like you guys do your offices. You have them clean. Okay, this guy nails me every time, okay? It's to the point where code enforcement's coming out, closing the case right out because they know what's going on. This guy is harassing me. He done put a false report to the sheriff department on me like a week ago, saying I broke his nose when I didn't touch him. They took pictures of my hands. They said, if you would have hit him, broke his nose, there'd be marks on your hands. Okay, this guy is harassing me, not just me, other people in the neighborhood. The other people ain't my problem. My problem is my property. My truck is wrapped in American flag colors. It's a beautiful truck. I only bring it home, like, if I get a call and I get done with it at 11:30 at night, I bring it home, I get to sleep for 6 hours or whatever, be back in my truck and gone. I try to be gone by the time code enforcement comes because I want to show them the respect too. Hey, and I don't lie to them. I tell them, yeah, I was here, this is why. And the last complaint was I had to go right by my house to do a call. There went out a semi that was stuck in the people's yard, and I didn't get done until like 11:30. I came right past down my road. I stopped, I went to sleep. I was up by 6:30, out of my house by 7, to go back to work. And code enforcement said they would have did the same thing, so that way I got my sleep. But this guy is steadily riding by my house. I caught him out there. The day he said I broke his nose, he's in a T-shirt and pajama pants, riding by neighbors' houses, taking pictures of their house and complaining on them. His name is Tom Bigelow. I'm pretty sure y'all know him. He said on one complaint that the complaint needs to go to higher authorities instead of code enforcement. I like to know who higher authority is, so I can express my situation with them too. I do a lot with Pasco County. I go out to the docks. I winch the boats in that they drag in. I'm on FHP rotation, and we got time response times that we have to be at these scenes and stuff. And I try to explain to them. I try to be neighborly. I didn't buy out there to have this problem. I'm a working class man, and that's all I want to do is work, enjoy my property, and live with my family. This is getting old. This is wasted. My time right here, your guys' time, code enforcement time. 2015, they had something go on. They all came in here. I got a copy of it in here where everybody from that neighborhood came in, and he was complaining on, and it went from there. I don't know what happened then because I wasn't in the neighborhood there. But now it's like every time I do it, I only bring it home, like I said, to wash it, clean it, because that's my office. I live in that truck 100 hours a week sometimes.
Thank you for your comments. Micah? Go back and visit with Mike outside there. Thank you. Next individual.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm new to Pasco County. We moved here in November.
Name and address for the clerk.
My name is Rebecca Hunter, 17608 Horvat Avenue, Spring Hill, Florida.
Okay.
We live in the Leisure Hills Division. My sister, as you see, is disabled. I have nothing to do with the birds or the water or nothing. I'm here about the Department of Human Services. We filled out 30 pages of paperwork to get on the plan for the Adult with Disability Program. And then we were told we were put on a waiting list. This waiting list has thousands of people on it. Just to get a ramp, just to get help for the disabled people. I'm sitting here listening to people complaining about homelessness. Department of Human Services is all in on that. You've got their budget at 1/8 of what you're paying for the environment, for the birds, the turtles, and the waterways. That's wrong. Because if you don't help the people, you're not going to be able to take care of the birds. You can get more people to volunteer to take care of your birds and turtles than you can with somebody with a disability. I have to go to a church and beg to get help for a ramp. This isn't fair. You've only allotted so much on this budget for the Department of Human Services, and you wonder why people are living on the streets. You wonder why people are stealing. Let's start helping our humans instead of donating all of this. You have $100 million or $100 million going to the police force. You don't even need that much if you would help the people that need the help. Department of Human Services needs funds. We need to help the disabled people. We need to help their families to keep them in homes. Because on this list, if I say I can't take care of her no more, somebody will come in, take her out of my home, put her in an adult foster care home, and pay $200,000 a month to take care of her. So now where do I go? Because I've talked to everybody and nobody wants to reply. Nobody says, they say, oh, you got to call this one, then you got to call this one, then you got to call this one. I've been on the phone for months. So now I'm with you guys. This is in your hands. You do the budget for the Department of Human Services. They need help. These handicapped people that live in this county need help. Their families need help. And you are all we have that we can ask for help. This is unfair. They're going without. You have no clue what the handicapped is going without. And I think it's time for the commission to step up and say, we need to help these people more than our birds and our turtles, because you can get people out there to go and do whatever you want for the birds, the turtles, the water, the seawalls. That's all I've heard here today.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Kathy, is this under your department? If you'll meet Kathy Pearson, she's walking toward the back. Be glad to talk to you. Next. Name and address for the clerk.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Gonzalez. I live at 16677 Albright Road in Shady Hills. Good morning, by the way.
Morning.
My first meeting here. We're a little less than 3-year homeowners in the area. I'm here for the same reason, Tom Bogolino. He literally stalks our house. We live right on the corner of Little Ranch and Albright Road. Our house is clean. That, you know, we keep in compliance. We've met with this man when he first, I mean, we weren't there the first year. We signed the line on January 20th of 17 for the house. We did all the research. We have mud vehicles, you know, there are off-road vehicles that we did the research before we moved here. Little do we know that in 2015, he has a hard-on against anybody that has anything to do with a commercial vehicle. He doesn't like the fact that people can have mud vehicles but not have them tagged. So what does he do? I have new neighbors that see him sit at my house days and nights while I'm at work. We're a working class, so we're not home. I have a young 21-year-old daughter-in-law that's usually home. It's very creepy when there's somebody that's stalking your home and your neighbors say, he parks here all day long. He parks here, and when he comes and we confront him, he's in pajamas and a t-shirt. It's kind of weird. It's becoming to a point where it's harassment. I mean, the first report, we confronted him, look, we're neighbors. Come to our fence. If you've got a problem, let us know. We'll do anything we can to try to keep it peaceful. He tells the police and everybody else that he wants to clean up Shady Hills. The problem is that our corner of Shady Hills is not dirty. Even the county tells us we cannot understand why we're out here again. So what can be done about this person that the county already took a lawsuit and tried to do something in 15? I didn't live there yet, but I have friends in the neighborhood that showed me this report, and he straight out said, I will get you fined if I see this truck here. My husband only brings it there to wash. We rented a yard. We're in compliance. County told us what we need to do. But it's like he literally goes, he's been caught on people's private property taking pictures. The neighborhood took him to court in 15. We weren't owners there yet. Here it is 19, and the same guy is a complete problem in this neighborhood. What do we do about him? He's not even doing anything. He lives a mile back from me. You know, I live out by Peace. I live in the, and because we happen to be paved, you know, we're kind of like the main way in. However, he will literally, and my neighbors have told me, he'll come in different cars. He'll sit over here during the day. He'll sit here. We're at work. My 21-year-old daughter-in-law's at home. She only works part-time, but she's home alone. It's kind of creepy. You know, so we don't know what to do. We've called the sheriff's office. How can we do, is there anything we can do for harassment, to put a restraining order, to keep him away from our house? Because we have done everything the county have asked. We rented a place. Like I said, my husband only comes there when he washes the truck on a Sunday. We have property right down the road that he rented a lot, literally rented a lot, so we could park that tow truck there. So he has 5 miles to go that he has to get it when he's called out for FDHT, the Florida rotations, you know, an accident, to help the county pull the boats out of the water. We now have to comply with that to try to keep him away.
Thank you, your time's up.
Thank you, I
Thank you
appreciate
for your
it.
mention. Michael's there in the back. If you'll go speak to him, it'd be good.
We're just trying to make it neighborly, and it's not been working.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir. Name and address for the clerk?
Yes, sir. Michael Hunter, 17608 Chorvat Avenue, Spring Hill, Florida, 34610. I'd just like to reiterate with my wife on the handicap and that. I've been in the military 36 years, and I came home to retire. And my family, we took a budget cut of $1,400 because we go on a list. My sister-in-law has been handicapped her whole life. This is nothing new, okay? Like she said, the budget is broke, okay? It's not really the budget, the program's broke. They don't have good advocates in the adult services, okay? And I spoke up in Michigan, we did a lot there, and then now I guess I'm gonna have to take the time here in Florida to speak up because handicaps are not being taken care of. They have the right to be taken care of. They have the right to have a safe environment. They have a right to 2 exits in their houses and everything else. When you put them on a list and you take $1,400 a month away from the families that come to Florida retired, because I spent 36 years in the military, still in the military, but I come home and I got to take a $1,400 cut. But I still got to maintain everything, you know, trying to take care of my sister-in-law and my family. That's not a fair shake. And I don't know how many people have come up and spoke about handicaps. Handicaps, there's a lot of people that are in the blind. I was in the blind for years until I married my wife. You know, handicapped people go without for a lot of things. So I'd just like, you know, you guys take the time to think about that area, because that's one of the areas that's underpaid, overworked, and everything else. It's not them that's suffering. It's handicapped families that are suffering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that your wife that's out with
Yes, sir.
Kathy? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, anyone else here to speak? All right, that's the end of the public comment. We'll move on to consent items. Where's my list? I have the following consent items for C22, pull and revise. C71, pull and revise. C77, pull and revise. C61, withdrawn. C19, pull and revise. C75, withdrawn. And C63, doesn't say, I don't know if that's withdrawn or what. Or discussed, okay, on that one. All right. I entertain a motion on the rest of the consent items.
Approval of the remaining consent agenda?
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion pass. We'll start with C22.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. This is to revise the title of the contracting company from Jerry Mills Discount Plumbing, which was on the original, to Jerry Mills Discount Pumping. All other facts and figures remain the same, other than that change.
Move approval of noted change?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion pass. C71.
Good morning, Mike Carvalho, Public Infrastructure. There was a error in the date in the background on the agenda memo. It's been corrected.
Move approval of noted change?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. C-77.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adam Thomas, Director of Tourism. There was two revisions that need to be revised for this item. The first is to the amendment. There was a typo on page 4 in the first paragraph, which was corrected. It stated the First Amendment. This is actually the Second Amendment to the contract, and then also we revised the memo for this line item.
Yes, sir.
If I
Mr. Wells.
could, questions, Adam, and I agree with you on this. I know we've spoke about it in depth about the contract with this company. Now, let me ask you a question, and I'm looking at the agenda item you've got down that they're not meeting our expectations in several categories. Why are we still keeping them on to do other things? Should we not just part ways and let's do it in-house or use somebody else that can do a good job? I mean, we're spending
Yes, sir.
a lot of money.
The timing of it to change the entire amendment to the agreement and bring additional employees into our office to facilitate the needs, the timing would have been too much, too quick. So in order to keep the sustainability of the remainder of the contract, we're going to go through with it until next year and make those revisions next year to bring those employees back in-house.
It seems like a lot of money to me. I mean, so we're going to pay them $192,000 to keep them on for another year, and when we're specifically talking about how they're not doing the job in several categories.
Just on social media, they have not followed directives directly from the TDC board. They have not really lived up to their standards, even though we have gained momentum in social media. We feel that it's not up to our standards of where it's at today. So we're bringing that in-house. They do creative for us, PR, they do media planning and buying, they handle our website. There are things that they are doing correct that's really making a difference and it's showing. But right now, we feel the need of social media just needs to be changed.
Mr. Chairman, can
Mr.
I
Moore?
chime in just a little bit too? And so, again, the TDC board's recommendation, we've had multiple conversations about how we do not feel, along with Adam and his team, they were living up to our standards when it came to social media. You know, you've heard me make comments about it too. So that was definitely, everybody agreed on, it needs to get pulled. We had to wait for obviously the contract renewal. But we did have the same discussion about how they're doing with PR on that side and media buys. That's really what they're good at. They're good at that. They're just not good at this. That's the problem. Listen, don't hate to knock people, but this isn't probably a space they should be in. But they're known as one of the top advertising, agencies and PR companies in the nation when it comes to tourism. So that they're getting the bang for the buck there. In-house, those are things. There are certain things. It's impossible. They could not do on that side. But the social media side is, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think I made a few comments. I think I can get my 10-year-old to probably do a better job at the social media than they were doing. Yeah.
Have an agency handle your social media. It's either you're hitting a grand slam or you're striking out 3 times in a row, no pun intended. But this was a complete whiff and a swing and a miss. So like I said, we're taking those initiatives back in-house.
Kind of like hey, if I'm a physician, I'm a cardiologist, but I can't do brain surgery. They were trying to do brain surgery as a cardiologist.
Okay, I'll support the item, but I'm going to be critical this next 12 months, and I'm doing it out of respect for the TDC. I know, again, we're lucky to have everybody on that board, but it's a lot of money. So with that, move for approval with changes.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Thank you. C-61. Well, that's withdrawn. Excuse me. C-19.
Morning again, Commissioners. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. This is to update attachment number 1 to correct a missing line item, resulting in no change to the total deductive change order, but just to add that one missing line item.
Move for approval as revised.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. C-75 has been withdrawn. C-63 for discussion.
I just want to draw your attention to this item. I think this is great. People out at Gulf Harbors tell me the water quality is so different than what it was even 15 years ago, and I know there's multiple issues along the coastline that need addressing, but I'm very glad we're addressing this. People, I don't know that we have any requirements that you have to clean out your septic or make sure that it's functioning the way it should be. And I think that's something the legislature needs to address, but I'm glad we're taking a look at these communities, and that we're getting a grant to do this is fantastic. So probably this is just step one, but much needed. So with that, I'd move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign?
And Chairman, real quick, I just noted C-60 says District 4, it's actually District 5.
All right, a motion passed, by the way, on 61.
I know, but it needs to be
Well,
changed, so we need
just-
to do another motion. change.
Just let the record reflect
Okay.
that that's a
That's a
commission
change on the
district
commission
5.
Yeah. Okay. That ends the consent items. We move on to regular agenda. R1.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Director of Building Construction Services.
Pull that mic over to you.
And Don Rosenthal, Assistant County Administrative Development Services.
Okay.
So we're here this morning presenting reserve reduction. We have some excess. There is a bill that has just passed the House, HB 447. Because of this bill, we need to reduce our reserves that we have right now. And our county administrator also wants us to go beyond what the bill calls for. So we're reducing it further to 6 million. And the chart here is showing the percentage by which we're reducing it. So every permit that we issue, we're going to have a 10% coupon discount. And this will bring it down in the first year, 2020, to about $16 million, as is seen on the board. The second year to 14.4 million, and the third year to 11.8 million. And the fourth year, 2023, to 9 million, and 24 to 6 million, and 2025 to 6 million even. And we're assuming that the economy stays steady and increasing by 3%.
Okay. Great. Mr. Mariano?
You know, I'm glad staff's taking the initiative to bring these fees down. I would like to see it increase the speed of the takedown to the 6 million. So I think if you went down maybe even 20%, you could get it break even at 2020, 2022, instead of taking the longer time. I mean, if it's just reducing reserves anyway, I don't see why we want to hold on to them for longer.
Commissioner, the
Mr.
intent to
Biles.
do it over 5 years or 4 years was really to make sure that we watched the economy and didn't catch ourselves into a bind with respect to reserves and, you know, our team composition if we had a rough spot in the economy. So it was just really to glide path down over the next 4 years to that 6 million. And the 6 million is the 16% recommended by GFOA, and then another couple million in case I think there's a future desire for a satellite office in the Wesley Chapel area, one-stop shop in Wesley Chapel, and so that's baked into the 6 million. So the glide slope is really to allow us to watch annually where our fund balance is and then adjust as needed, but to make sure that if we hit a rough spot in the economy, we don't get ourselves in a bind by cutting too deeply too fast.
Well, you're still going to stop at the $6 million number. It's just a matter of when you get there. And then frankly, the economy is going good, but those that have been overpaying are the ones going to benefit probably right now as well to get the break of what they've overpaid. And it's not that you guys have done a phenomenal job increasing the business. So I'm not saying you guys have done anything wrong of doing that, just the way things are going, the economics of it all. You can get it down lower quicker. I'd say let's put that incentive out there. If we need to adjust it next year, you can just come back in and say, hey, we're going too quick, we need to throttle it down. One thing I'd like to add is, too, as far as your changes, as far as talking about a Wesley Chapel office, I'm going to say that these guys do a phenomenal job getting permits through. They struggle sometimes, and one of the areas they struggle in is with not having their own engineer. I really think if it's not in the budget for this year, Maybe there's one coming, but I think
I
it's
think
critical
there's
they have one under their own department. Do we have it in there?
It's in the
We
budget.
do have it in there, okay.
There's one in the budget. Yes, sir.
All right, so that'll be October 1st. All right, well, good. I just want to make sure you guys got it. Thank you.
So, I mean, it's really at the pleasure of the board. You know, this reflects the math based on the CAFR which is actually the end of 18 fund balance. And so that doesn't take into account really, I mean, a little bit, but really the fact that year to date, we're 28% above where we were on single-family home permits than we were last year. And overall, 10% above where we were last year on permits. So we're going to have to look at this every year in order to get down to that number over a 5-year period. And that number is going to change every year based on the economy and where it goes. So if the pleasure of the board is to do 20% across the board next year, we'll do 20% across the board. We are just trying to build in a safe, predictable 4-year glide slope.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm just one of 5, so.
Right.
What are the other?
Mr. Wells?
Thank you, Chairman. And I don't disagree. Now, is this broken down by category that we charge more in one area than they're just across the board?
So the intent here is that it's every permit fee that it goes into the 104, the building construction fund, is across the board cut by whatever the board decides. We're recommending 10%. If 20% is the pleasure of the board, it'd be 20%. The fees that don't support 104, i.e. the stormwater fee, and there's some other permit fees that don't go into 104, those aren't cut. This is just the ones that go into the building permit piece, and it's across the board. We're working on a separate update to the entire permit fee schedule, but that's a cost recovery math to make sure that what our expenses are being covered by fees. That'll be a separate discussion in a couple months for the board. This is take whatever the fees are and cut them across the board to get our fund balance down, one, in compliance with state statute, but also down to where we think we should be.
No, and I don't disagree with Commissioner Mariano, but my biggest thing is, right before I got elected in 2014 is when all the fees were increased, and the idea was to use those fees to pay our employees to do our job and not necessarily make money on it. So I'm glad to hear that's coming back to us in a couple months. When you say a couple months, so November?
I think is first meeting in November, second. Yeah, I think the intent is November to try and make them effective 1 January.
Okay. And again, your team's doing a phenomenal job, so thank you. But it's, so, okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So the resolution that is before you, while it is the administrator's intent, and I'm not getting involved in that policy decision of taking it down to $6 million, the resolution before you complies with state statute.
Right.
It would be the county attorney's recommendation that that's what you do. You can pick whatever percentage you want as a policy reason, but I don't want you to say that the intent is coming down to $6 million as a result of the statute, because then all that money needs to be segregated and can only be used for rebates. They lose the discretion to use the 104 fund in the statutorily in its legal capacity. Because of the way the statute was written, it says you had to bring it down to your operating budget of the last 4 fiscal years. That's the number that's in the resolution. That's the number I would recommend that the board stick with. If you want to bring it down as a policy decision, as an administrative decision, I'm not getting involved with that, but there is a reason for the way the resolution was drafted, the way it was drafted.
Yeah. And I concur with that.
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
But
1 minute.
I guess the question I have is, I don't know if Commissioner Marimano made a motion on his or not.
I don't know if you made a motion either, so.
Well, so let's, do you want to keep it at the 10% and kind of keep it the way it's set up now, or do you want to accelerate it?
All right, Mr. Moore?
I was just going along with the recommendation, but
I am too.
okay.
And I want to make sure that all our times stay efficient. I don't want to see long turnarounds for permits, so.
Yeah, this just affects your fund balance. It's not affecting your operating budget.
I know, but
yeah.
One of the reasons why we raised it was to have enough staff to timely respond
Correct.
to
Right.
applications.
And we're maintaining that.
And I'll say, people want to say that they want to make sure you have enough people, you're paying your people enough to keep good quality people too. So I'm comfortable with staying there, but I did want to bring it up.
And that, Chairman, that's going to be something that's going to be addressed in 2 months, correct? As far as the amounts, the employees, to make sure we're keeping the same amount of employees. This is totally different. We already have this money. It's in reserves.
Correct.
So-
That's right.
So to be clear, the paying class study is part of the budget you're adopting tonight.
Yep.
And that affects the pay and classification and building construction, just like every other part of your organization. So that's actually happening tonight.
I know I made a motion. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
quick discussion then, because we have had a discussion in the last few days that we are backed up now, though. We are behind.
So there are some issues on current planning, but that's not the 104 fund. That's really.
Okay, so there's no correlation between the two. One is not holding up the other, or
One's a
vice versa?
site plan review, civil plan review issue, site development issue, which is not a building permit issue.
Yeah, I just
You
want to make
can't,
sure there's
you
no
can't
relation.
spend, well, you can't spend these funds on
It's not as much funding, Jeff, I'm talking about.
Okay.
I just want to make sure there's no correlation between the two, that this is holding that up somehow. If we needed more FTEs, that's not a cause. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yeah.
it wasn't, because maybe, Jeff, maybe they weren't getting there in time to the other department.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know,
separate.
which could hold up, so I just
It's
wanna
a
make sure.
separate discussion with the operation current planning and what's going on. To be honest, it's a matter of the work that's happening in the community, not necessarily the workload in current planning. They've gotten,
a lot of ones.
a lot of submissions and a lot of development going on, and so just like, they're trying to get back, and there's also, a recent timing issue with respect to some legislation that happened that we're trying to deal with as well. So there was a 120-day clock put in on some of the applications they have to work with in the recent legislation that we're trying to work through of how to.
Yes,
So-
but the max time. I'm with
Right,
you.
so.
Gotcha.
So that's a separate discussion than building construction, because that's a separate fund than building construction.
All right, my motion stands.
Okay, got a motion? Did I have a second? And I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
R2. Welcome, Mr. Goring.
Morning, Robert Borick, Pasco County Budget Director. This morning, I wanted to present to you the changes to the budget since the board passed the tentative budget on September 3rd. There were a number of changes and revisions to the budget. Those are outlined in the attachment to the agenda memo. Here at this point, I just wanted to hit the high points of those changes. First of all, at the board's direction, we reduced the market area plan by $100,000 and shifted those funds into the general fund to conduct a dredging study. Secondly, we had budgeted a number of new E911 supervisors for a 9-month hire, to hire them beginning in January. After looking at those, we realized that we probably need to bring those folks on sooner, so we shifted that from a 9-month hire to a 12-month, so just added an additional 3 months salary for those folks. As we reviewed the budget, I realized that I'd accidentally left out 4 business plan initiatives in the Municipal Services Fund. One of those was the engineer and the development services that Commissioner Mariano had just mentioned. There were 2 code enforcement officers. There was a principal planner, and then the remainder of the market area plan. And so those are the high points of the changes. This is the final budget that you'll be considering this evening. I plan to go more in-depth into this budget this evening, but I just wanted to point this out for you here in case you had any questions. With that, that's all I had to present with you today. With that, I just ask the board to approve the changes made to the tentative budget as outlined in the attachments.
Okay, pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. R3. Is there an R3?
Yes.
Yes, sir. That's actually a good news item.
Public infrastructure.
Good morning, Margaret Smith, County Engineer. Yeah, R3 is an item to request approval of an agreement between Pasco County and Walmart regarding the Beacon Woods Safety Project, wherein we include their improvements on private property into the Pasco County bid package, and upon successful bid, they reimburse the funding. However, we wanted to take a little time today to bring you up to speed for those that are aware of this project, and maybe familiarize the ones that have not been aware. This project sits just north of State Road 52, the Beacon Woods area. Beacon Woods is one of the neighborhoods. On the other side of, so US 19 runs directly through this area. Leisure Beach neighborhood is on the west side of US 19. Beacon Woods is back to the east and a little bit to the south. And then we have the Country Club neighborhood north of Walmart's there. So as you all know, US 19 has quite a bit of volume on that roadway. And if you start throwing in the neighborhoods, all those neighborhoods and all the traffic that comes to US 19, and then throw in a big box, a very popular Walmart, who gets, that store is a pretty large store and gets quite a bit of business. We have had a lot of issues with accidents in that area. So back in, between 2014 to 2016, we recorded 129 accidents, and with that, 7 fatalities and 29 injuries. Since 2017 to 2019, that's been reduced to about 23 accidents per year. So a total of 71 for that 3-year period, with 1 fatality and 46 injuries. So you can see this is a project that was really, really needed out there. And it sat for quite a while. It didn't sit, but there was a lot of consideration, because one of the things that the county had gone to DOT about, since this US 19 is their road, was adding another signal to the north of Walmart there at Apollo and Beach Boulevard. And because it's so close to Beacon Woods, that idea was rejected. Several other ideas were looked at, but there was a stalemate as to how to really resolve this. And I think it was back in about 2015, Mike Bunk over here sitting in a meeting with us, and he said, what about a roundabout there at the roundabout there at the south entrance of Walmart? So up to this point, the Walmart traffic could not come out of that south entrance and go back into Beacon Woods. Left turns were not allowed. It required the drivers to come out, take a right, go up to US 19, do a U-turn, and come back to Beacon Woods that way. So ran it by the commissioner, who I think was a little surprised at first, as we were, but we all realized that it was a fantastic idea, and this just might be what works. And then we went to both DOT and Walmart, and also to the shopping center to the south, which is where Kmart used to be. And once we got a tentative buy-in from those groups, we went and visited all those neighborhoods that I previously mentioned. And they were just pleased and just thrilled that we had an idea that would work. And Beacon Woods, who was so concerned about the cut-through traffic, I think felt a little bit better that a roundabout was there, because one of the nature of that is to be a traffic calming. So with that, we developed the concept. Is that our next one? We developed a concept. Oops, let's go back. Oh, so here we are talking about the crashes. And so what we developed was this I'll call it a 3-point concept, where we're building the roundabout here on the south side. We're improving DePaulo on the north, and DOT is designing and installing a signal there at US 19 and DePaulo. And this also included us asking Walmart to fund both the design and construction of the work on their property. So they're adding a new exit from their property to the north to DePaulo, and also making that entrance to the south that is there, but they're making that a full entrance. Traffic can come in and go out through that. So as you can see there, three partners, Pasco County, DOT, both public agencies, and Walmart, a private agency. And throughout DOT, there's been several groups, including Public Works, which, by the way, is currently out there reconditioning DePaulo as we speak. So just a rough idea of what the roundabout looks like. This roundabout will allow through traffic as we've always had on Beacon Woods, but will also allow traffic coming out of Walmart to the top of that picture, going around the roundabout and heading back into Beacon Woods without ever having to access US 19. We also considered a connection between the North Shopping Center Walmart and the South, where the Kmart used to be. You can see a little bit of a slip ramp through there to allow that traffic. So a much better, point of access there for every direction of traffic that we have. Here's a concept of what the DOT is planning on including. And right now, that blue median in the middle is what we have there today. That will be taken out of the project. The median nose there to the south will be reduced. You see the new crosswalks put in around that intersection that will also have the PED features to make that a safer crossing, and a slight modification to the sidewalk to bring it down to the crosswalk and then back up, because we don't want the traffic to be crossing, what is that, Country Club? Or DePaulo there, behind the stop bar. So we're trying to get the traffic in front of that stop bar. Traffic will be stopped and they'll safely cross. So here is a table of our schedule and our fees that these projects included. And you can see the DOT project is at 1 point, can't see it myself, but I think it's at 1.2 for the signal. And that's what the Pasco County work comes out to be. And I think Walmart is about in that range as well. Just to make it easier to see what we're doing with design. Design on the Beaconwood roundabout is complete at this time. We are waiting for the plans from Target. They're currently working on that with their own consultant. And those plans will be included in the bid package that we're putting out. And that's the reason for the agreement you see there, because we'll be reimbursed for that funding when we know what the bid is. Construction for DePaulo is underway, as I said earlier. And we expect the notice to proceed for the Walmart work and the Beacon Woods work to be in February of upcoming February 2020. And expect to have the job completed a year from February.
Good.
Any questions? Just comment.
Ms. Harkey?
And I don't know how many people were here. David was probably here. I know Commissioner Mariano was here. I think I sat on the LPA as a school board member when this Walmart came in. And I remember that the transportation plan around it was very different, but because we had people living behind there that were so concerned about traffic in their neighborhoods, we did some things that made it very dangerous, the way the traffic ended up. And that's an example of why I think sometimes we need to listen to our traffic experts who are very knowledgeable about this kind of stuff and not necessarily give in to the unfounded fears of people. And now look at how many lives have we lost?
Well, I don't know if it's all because of that, but since 2014, we've had 8 fatalities.
So I think there were some mistakes made when we changed the requirements for this project. I just want to say that just as a lesson learned. And now a costly fix is coming in.
So the good thing is we've talked to the Beacon Woods residents back there, and there might be 1 or 2 that are still concerned, but overall, the majority of the people just want to be able to get back into their neighborhood after shopping at Walmart.
Right, because we made it even more difficult for them.
The time
It
has
brings to
passed.
my mind when we did the right thing with the McDonald's that was coming in by that mobile home park on 54, and many residents came in here and were very concerned that they would never be able to get into their homes again, that there would be fatalities out on 54, and we said, no, this is going to be better for you. They didn't believe it or understand it, and now they are all out there at McDonald's in their golf carts, and they love that connection, and I've never seen anyone backed up. And I think they realized that their fears were unfounded. So does this require a...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's your district if you want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, but I want to have a little discussion first. And I want to say, Margaret, thank you so much. And I want to tell you, this is a P3 project. DOT with Secretary Gwynn and his staff, since they've come in, it was easy to talk to them, to get to why we need to do this so bad to make this happen. There were conditions way back when Walmart was a different place. It was the shopping mall that was there before, and they had the light in front. They moved it down to Beacon Woods Drive, and now because of that proximity of half a mile, we couldn't get the light at DePolo, which would have made it a lot safer to make that whole thing happen. And Walmart didn't even want to have the connection from Country Club Estates, which again, you got like 280 homes that are in there or so, that now can go directly in and directly out, much safer for them as well, instead of having to come out on 19. So the condition that was in from a long time ago that kept that from happening, kept the light from happening with DOT, and even the people at Beacon Woods didn't want to have a light there, and this roundabout, they light. So this took a while, unfortunately, the way government was structured to make it all happen, but the way it's come out now, Margaret, you guys have done a phenomenal job bringing this thing forward. DOT's been great, and Walmart, I got to salute them for stepping up and putting out of their own pocket, which they don't usually do after they've developed. So all three have come together to make this a much safer project, much better, and it fulfills all the things we try to do for transportation management. So thank you so much for getting it all done. If you can move up the timetable, that'd be great, but what you're doing is phenomenal, and I greatly appreciate it. And by the way, Mike Carbella, we went out there because we're doing the paving assessment in Country Club Estates at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out there, and they're kind of like getting started, and a few issues that are coming out there. So the residents have me come out at one of the night meetings. So I come out there, we listen to all the things, we write all the things down. And Mike, you had 6 people out there with me. We walked the whole neighborhood, looked at every single issue, because I always said, I think we all agree, let's fix the stormwater before we do the roads. And every stormwater thing that we looked at is getting done, and it's going to be set. So this whole area is going to be a major step up just with everybody working together. So your team's phenomenal. Your partnership with the other two have been fantastic. So it is going to be a great improvement for the project.
Thank you,
for
sir.
the
I
whole
want
area.
to
Thank you.
particularly call out Rick, who ran this project all the way from beginning to end, and then Mike for originating and coming up with this very innovative idea that really is what spurred the whole project.
I'd say
These two guys have done an incredible job.
Rick and Mike have been great to work with every step of the way. So thank you so much for what you did, your creativity, your willing to bring it forward. I know you knew you had Commissioner Starkey once you said roundabout, but we still needed a couple more votes after that, but it's all good.
That's a brilliant solution.
Yeah, so I'll move approval.
Second.
I got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passed. That ends our regular agenda items. We will now move on to old business. Mr. Moore?
Just one thing. I didn't want to bring it up during that agenda item, but just seeing that Walmart there doing, maybe Commissioner Mariano knows. Is there anything going on with the Kmart?
Oh, that's in my notes.
A U-Haul's going in there.
Oh, that's the Kmart's where U-Haul's going
thought it
in?
was
That was
Service
Service Merchandise. I
No,
thought.
they did that one too, but there's another one coming up there. Different owner, but different group. And they're in permitting right now. I'm not sure where they're at, Don, if you can help expedite that, but tell us where we're at.
Yeah, we're actually working on it now. They have some issues with having the water supply big enough for fire, and they're working through those with us now.
Okay. Are they going to keep the tower there, or is that a conversation?
My understanding at this point is that, yes, they want to keep the tower.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And they're going to landscape?
Most definitely, Commissioner.
All right. Thank you. Just curious.
That's it?
What's going on? No, I got an item,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
That was just curious about that. Because I know for a time there, it was getting pretty trashed behind the Kmart, and I think Code went out there and took care of some things, right?
They cleaned out all the landscaping in the back.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Just one thing, just a reminder, the Universal Playground, inclusive playground, is groundbreaking is this Friday at 10 a.m. Exciting stuff, and I think our date now is probably going to be done by the end of November. So moving fast, good stuff. So team's doing a great job. And with that, that's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Starkey?
I got a little list of things, so I'll try and go quick. The discussions on Green Key reminded me that we had a discussion here, and I was talking with some of the staff about this yesterday, was that we want to bush hog county property along roads where we see people living in the woods. And I don't know, I don't believe we've ever done it yet, and I don't know what's holding us from doing it on our own property. I know we talked about requiring other property owners to do that as well, but certainly we should be taking the lead and doing it on our own property. So I think that would help the Green Key folks a lot. I drove Sunray. Some of you might have seen that on Bay News 9. They had a article, they did a story on the flooding and the condition of Sunray. And so I went out there with staff and looked at it, and they will also be looking at the stormwater situation there and how those lakes around there drain, because it wasn't apparent to us when that water goes into those two lakes there, how that drains out. So they're going to be looking at that situation, and Sunray is going to be reclassified as a collector. It is in bad shape, but of course we want to look at the drainage system before we look at repaving. We also drove around the Darlington area, and I want to thank staff and everybody who helped that area do their big cleanup this weekend. It went very well. So also what it made, not being able to find the property owner easily on that property on Green Key, although our residents were able to find that property, made me think that as we do our work on our rental registry, we might want to add vacant property to that list so that we are able to find the owners of vacant property and undeveloped property so that we can encourage them to put up no trespassing and, signs and help the sheriff with whatever they need to do to make sure that those properties are kept the way I think we want them to be kept in the county. The bank, there's a bank that went under on Rancho Del Rio and Little Road, and it is not, the landscaping is not being maintained. So just like they were talking about the golf courses, I'm curious, what are our rules for commercial property that is up for sale and is no longer being maintained properly?
Don Rosenthal, Assistant County Administrative Development Services. It's still the responsibility of whoever the current owner is to maintain that property.
And in the same shape that it was when it was open?
They have to still maintain the property, cut the grass, and do basic things like that.
And keep, okay, so then we need to send them a letter, so I'll get with code on that. Well, in talking with the EDC folks, and a discussion that was had many times at the PEDC event, we have a real problem with not enough light industrial in the county, and we're about to lose a company because there's no place for them to go. I would like us to look at rezoning properties along 19, because I think that some of those commercial properties could be rezoned to light industrial, and frankly, I think that Kmart would have been a great place to have some light industrial. We can put restrictions on it so that we're not talking about cement factories, but places like True or Mettler Toledo could move in, and if we take the initiative and work with owners of some of these properties, I think we could have some opportunity for more jobs moving on the 19 corridor as part of that reimagination of the 19 corridor.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump in with that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's a great idea. I finally got a map of the opportunity zones, and I kind of blew it up so I could take a look at it. Anybody wants to see it, it's in my office. It shows you every single section of it. And I'll tell you, these opportunity zones that they picked really aren't in good areas that it's going to be, they can do much with it. I mean, you couldn't do like the industrial stuff that you're talking about or other things. So I've actually put a call into Representative Mariano's aide. She's going to go try to find out who sets these zones up and find out if we can get to the state to go look at it. But just like you're thinking, I'm thinking the same thing. We got all this land on 19 that's not going to have as much retail as it used to have. We can't seem to get residential want to come there either. If we could do something to get industrial or any type of commercial and put these as opportunity zones going up and down, now somebody can go invest in a business, which will show a return. They'll get their capital gains waived. I think it's after 7 years. I've been told I've got to check my numbers, depending on the scenario.
It's a sliding scale.
So depending on how it all works out, it could be the great way to go for us up and down. So if you want to partner with me as we go take a look at that, I want to go take a look at that whole opportunity zone thing, because I think that's where they should be. And for our area, I think it makes a lot more sense. So I like your line of thought.
Yeah, for me, there's two opportunities. One is light industrial, and the other is multifamily. Yeah. But it is not the retail corridor of the west side of Pasco anymore. And so we need to be aggressive in thinking how to redesign that corridor.
I think you're right on.
And, yep, I think that's it. Oh, no, sorry, I have this sheet. somewhere in front of me. So I have a lectures on the lawn Thursday. Again, if you're a history buff, Dr. Michael Francis is the expert on Florida history, and it's going to be a great event starting at 7 o'clock. I also have I have my town hall. We moved it to October 9th to be better prepared for it. And our topics are, and this is at the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Lutz. The topics will include State Road 54 transportation update, a PVAS update, code enforcement, long-range planning, the sheriff's office, and then we're going to add more time for Q&A that we've had in the past. And I have my next Harbor South Leadership Council on October 23rd at Gulf Harbor Civic Association. We invite all civic and homeowners to send in the Harbor South region to send one person to join us and learn how you can help make your neighborhoods better. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but I'm losing yet another employee. KB is leaving us because she got a great offer from her hometown senator to come up and join his staff in Tallahassee. And KB told me her goal is to be a lobbyist, and that will definitely help her further her goals when she's working in the senator's office near her from her hometown. So I do have a new person hired and is coming in on Monday, and then another person coming in October. So my office, which is very, very busy, will be staffed up, but we say goodbye to KB, and she'll be here for a few more weeks, but she was great in the short time that she was here.
That it?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wells?
Wells will help you out if you need any assistance.
Exactly. I'm good, thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go over a couple of things. We're just going to pass down a letter that, an email that came over from the citizens. The conversation on Green Key, it's good to see. I mean, we had probably a year and a half ago, we actually brought all code enforcement, sheriff's department out there, sheriff's office, and went out over that whole area taking a look at it. So I'm glad to see we're making progress there. The neighborhood watch is great. But I think it's time we actually get with the city coming up. So I've actually sent an email as we've been going through to reach out to the city, and let's get that on the agenda item. I think it's time to go look at the stormwater in there, because if we can clean out some of those areas out there, let that water flow, maybe restructure the roads and do a joint partnership with them. I know they still got a lot of money to spend on the Penny for Pasco money, so maybe it's time to really go take a look at that whole area, look at a full repaving, look at a stormwater, and look at going all the way to Green Key. And there's a item here that I don't know how this got to my desk, but from June of '95, it talks about Green Key Park, and there was a request from way back then to get streetlights out there then. So maybe that's something to incorporate. So if we could make that as a full presentation coming up for the meeting, I think we'd probably get a good dialogue and get something going forward. On your email that I just sent over, this is an email that came over last night. I got a call from this person yesterday, and if you saw on the draft agenda, we actually had an item where we're going to try to buy 2 homes, one on Ashwood Drive, one on Colfax. I want to give Mike Cabrella credit. He's been working real hard to go solve that issue at Ashwood Drive. He thinks he's got it solved. He's not sure yet, but he thinks he does. They looked at buying these 2 homes. He didn't see the full economic benefit to making this happen, but I would like us to go have this as a conversation piece coming up. Maybe it can be a community garden area. Maybe it can do something. Clearly, putting 2 more homes or 2 more people back in those homes, they're going to flood out again. It's not going to be a good thing. So if we get some flexibility, maybe work with Kathy Pearson on it, we can kind of try to find out, do we have some other options for that property? Because maybe it could be an overflow for stormwater, but at the same time, a community garden or something might work. But we got to work the funding because Catholic Charity still has the homes. So if we could, maybe you can start that conversation. And I just want to say I think that Tampa Bay Water Ski Show team would be a phenomenal addition. They've been out there for several events. It's a great addition. Again, if we can work out where it doesn't cost us anything, but it's going to increase our revenues for parking, I think it's a win-win across the board. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Ms. Starkey.
I did not mention who KB is going to be working for, but it is the chair of TED Appropriations. Just wanted everyone to make sure they know. They now have a contact in the senator's office.
What's the senator's name?
It is
Hudson?
Travis Hudson.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So that's the only reason I let her go, if they work well with us.
Jacksonville?
Mr. Biles?
Yes, sir, just a couple things. Actually, both related to grants. We recently It's probably within the last month or two, applied for, through Parks, a Department of Opportunity and Community Development block grant, disaster recovery grant, to help harden the upcoming rec center at Burks Park. And it looks like we're number 2 out of 24 applicants for that. And so, while not final yet, real good news for the potential to be able to upgrade that future community center to actually a hurricane shelter 2. And there's not one in that region, really, the county.
Where is that?
Burks Park.
Burks.
Where,
My
remind me?
district, my district. Dade
Oh,
City.
oh, that's right, the one where they use the pole to turn on and off the lights. I remember that. I'm glad
The
that
other one is,
I'm going to build something there.
we've been conditionally awarded a $160,000 RTP grant
he heard you.
for facilities
I'm not going to listen to him.
out on the Starkey and the Suncoast multi-use trails.
6
So
years it only took to get that, but I see our Swift Mud guy out there in the audience, so
He's-
thank you.
Light
all
at
worth
the
it.
end of the tunnel. So there'll be, that'll allow us to put some facilities out there for the users of that trail at that
Yeah,
intersection.
a
So-
restroom,
Right. Well, that's one of the facilities, yes, ma'am.
one of many.
Yes. So that's just the 2 things I had, sir.
And those are great. We're very grateful.
Mr. Steinsteiner?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, at the last meeting, you asked for an update on the opioids litigation. On September 11th, Judge Polster certified a negotiating class of the local governments in the multi-district litigation. And we're going to have until November 22nd to decide whether to opt in or opt out of the class. It's early yet. Outside counsel has not made a recommendation. My guess is that we will opt in. And so with the board's discretion, I would like to schedule a litigation assessment meeting for either of your October meetings, depending on what the overall agenda is like. It would be October 7th, and I don't know what the second meeting is in.
I mean, 8th?
Can't be 2nd and 8th.
What?
The 7th is,
22nd.
you've got a meeting on the 7th, and you've got a meeting on the 22nd.
Right.
So I would,
Meeting on the 7th.
yep, Monday the 7th
Oh, we should.
is what's on my calendar.
Why do we have a board meeting on Monday, the 7th?
Why would we? That's what I got.
Yeah, I do too.
No, that's,
Yeah, me too.
fire
Was there a
prevention.
municipal election or something?
Yes,
Doesn't say that.
it's on the 7th.
Why?
It's on the 7th. I can't,
anyone know why?
that's what it's been on.
Yeah, I know, but why? Do we know why?
There,
Because it's not on the 8th.
Exactly.
I believe.
That's.
Why?
Is that a mistake on the calendar?
Oh,
when
there's
we-
our
yeah,
chairman.
there's, I believe there's a religious holiday a couple days
Blame me,
later
Alan.
that starts that evening of the 8th, and so.
Oh,
that's-
Yom
but I-
Kippur, which is the day of
but I-
my
again, I-
town hall,
Yeah.
is October
Um,
9th.
Again, that was set up
Okay.
Yeah.
12 months ago.
So anyway, depending on what your agenda
It has
looks
to be
like
before
on
my time.
on the 7th, I could schedule a litigation assessment meeting for that day or for the 22nd, depending on your caseload.
Gotcha. Mondays are tough. Can we do the next meeting?
22nd would still give me more than adequate time to make it, you
Wait.
know, to get back to outside
Wait, the
counsel.
7th's in DC. No, let's do Monday, the 7th. That's in DC. I vote for the 7th.
Monday the 7th's all right. We'll do that.
I just don't know how loaded your public hearing agenda is for that day, and so if it's a light day, we'll do it on the 7th.
Dade City will be light.
We can check during the break
Yeah.
and see
Okay.
what that looks like. We should have an idea what that day's gonna
Don't
look
try to
like.
stack
Okay.
it, because I know you guys would rather have it here.
That's all I have. Thank you.
We have streaming, we have streaming,
I know
which
what's
takes
going
care of
on.
all that, so. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I have 2 items. One is, I wanted to remind the board that our office will be closed on October the 9th. We're having our in-service training day, so it is an office-wide training, so our office will be closed for that day. And then another thing I want to bring up is an event that we're holding. We're holding a driver's license reinstatement day. We are naming it Operation Green Light, and it is basically criminal and traffic cases where there is a delinquency in the financial obligations, which resulted in some individuals' driver's license being suspended. So the date is October the 12th. It's Saturday, and it's going from 8:30 till 4 p.m., and it will allow the individuals to come to the office and to pay their financial obligation, and in return, we are waiving the 25% collection fee. And we're working closely with the tax collector's office to ensure that once they come to our office, they go to his and then get their driver's license reinstated that day.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. First thing is, I didn't place that date on there for that meeting. That was done a year ago, and it was under Mr. Wells, so. I want to get that clear. Next thing is, Mr. Biles spoke to the Dade City Chamber yesterday morning and did a great job.
Thank you.
When he got through, I walked up to him and said, you know, you took a lot of time to cover those items you did, but you only covered a few items for all that's going on in Pasco. I mean, there's so many great things happening in our county. I don't think you can do it in a normal meeting to talk of everything. I mean, and he did a great job in speaking to the public there, and they all appreciate him coming to do that.
They all wanted to
so.
get to work before noon, so.
Yeah, so, but it's a lot of good things are happening. Next, I hate to figure this out, but I figured out that Mike Moore's taking over my district park on Boyette Road. And he's speaking there when they bring in the new project for the, those persons.
Taking over your whole district.
You didn't hear him talk
Yeah.
about Burke's Park? He's going to put
Can I
something
give you
there,
a list
too.
of what I want?
Oh, I heard him say something about Burke's Park, and that's okay. We got a,
I got some big
we
plans
got
for
a
that
new
park.
recreation facility coming there, so have at
Get
it.
him to help me in my park, so we're next.
So I'm gonna ask Mr. Moore I'm gonna ask him one question. If he does so much, and the reason he's limited to where he can do, because I've got about 50% of land mass of the county, and it takes all four of y'all to handle the other half. Good point, Chairman, good point. Just making a point.
That's pretty
Making a
funny.
That will be changing.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, but
We'll
it's
fix
because
that for you in a
the only
couple years.
reason that's gonna change is y'all gonna start nipping and tucking at my district.
Oh, we are. Yeah, it's too big, it's too much land mass, we're gonna nip it
Right.
like that.
But there's a lot of
You won't have
great
to worry
things.
about having Western
I got
Chapel
some
in
parts I'll trade you.
That's okay. Keep your parks. I got a big super park coming, so don't you worry. I'm gonna outdo all your parks with my one super park, so
I have a
that's in the
conference call,
future.
so I have-
Okay. We'll recess now until 1:30 for public hearings. Is all right? And everyone, I would like to call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of September 18th, 2019. I would like to remind everyone present to please silent all electronic devices. For this time, we'll have public hearing. For first, we'll start with the procedures for rezoning. Mr.
You got ordinances
Fine,
first.
Well, this is my paperwork, so. Okay.
We can do them.
No, we'll wait. P1.
P1 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 23rd, 2019.
Christy Sims, Pasco County Attorney's Office. This is coming to you under a PDD number. That's because Ms. Hernandez was kind enough to get this through LPA and on the agenda for me. These are the amendments that I talked to you in August to the county's donation bin regulations. This is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Section 530.22, donation bins, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. I would advise that the board accept public comment. No action is required by the Board of County Commissioners today, as this is the first of 2 public hearings, and the second hearing, the adoption hearing, will be held on October 7th, 2019 at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City. Again, by way of comment, these are changes to the donation bin ordinance that the County Attorney's Office recommends for legal reasons.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We'll take a vote. So thanks again to your office, Ms. Sims. You guys are doing an excellent job. If you haven't noticed, driving across or through Pasco County lately, you're not seeing as many bins once again. So all the efforts, you and code enforcement and the sheriff's office and
Code enforcement, sheriff's office,
everybody's working together.
trying to keep on top of it.
We appreciate it.
Yep.
It's really making a difference. Now they just got to start dumping where their bins aren't anymore, right? We're working on that too. But I think one of the, if you read the ordinance and look through it, the statement, this bin is operated by a commercial company that sells the contents for profit. That's key, in my opinion, because again, going back to the statements that we made, that so many of these bins are operated by people for profit and not charities, and they confuse obviously the public. So I thank you for that.
Okay. This is a public hearing. I have no one signed up for this item. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to P1? Seeing no one, pleasure of the board.
No action.
No action required, okay.
This is your first public hearing. Second public hearing is
in Dade
October
City?
7th.
October 7th in Dade City.
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
That's a Monday.
That's Monday.
P2? Thank you, Mr. Wells.
Love it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give you the pub.
Proof?
Thank you. Published in the Tampa Bay Times on September 5th, 2019.
Erica Williams, Planning and Development. Item P2 PDD 191319 is an ordinance amending the boundary of the Starkey Ranch Community Development District. For the record, I'm going to read the ordinance title. An ordinance amending the boundaries of the TSR Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida Statutes and amending Pasco County Ordinance Number 14-14 as amended by Pasco County Ordinance Number 15-17, as amended by Pasco County Ordinance Number 17-45, as amended by Pasco County Ordinance Number 18-31, providing for miscellaneous provisions providing for an effective date. The request is to adopt an additional amendment to Pasco County Ordinance Number 14-14 as amended to remove approximately 3.39 acres and to add approximately 1.91 acres to the district. This district covers approximately 1,384 acres of land and is located north of State Road 54, east of Starkey Boulevard, west of the Suncoast Parkway, and south of J.B. Starkey Wilderness Park. With the expansion parcels, the CDD will cover approximately 1,463.204 acres in total. And with that, Planning and Development recommends approval by roll call vote. Thank you.
Okay, I have no one signed up for this item. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to P2? Seeing no one.
Move for approval.
Second. And a motion and a second. All those in
It's a
favor by roll call vote?
Roll call vote.
Okay.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
I need to abstain.
That was good. She's like, I need to, that was good.
District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Aye. Motion passed.
Running out of those.
At this time, we'll ask the county attorney to please read the procedures.
There are 2 rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there's no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case That application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code. Madam Clerk, would you like to swear the folks in?
Yes, please. If you are here to speak on the items in the public hearing, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
This is P3.
P3 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 16th, 2019 and August 23rd, 2019.
Item P3 is FAC 19-0158. It's for a petition to vacate Long Lake Reserve Community Development District and MI Homes of Tampa. It's a request to continue to October 22nd, 2019 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Did you say Long Lake?
Long Lake Reserve Community. Sorry, no, Long Lake Reserve.
Right.
Move to continue time certain.
Second.
The motion and second to continue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. P4, proof.
Tampa Bay Times, August 24th, 2019.
Item P4 is PDD 19-7430 in the name of SKF Property Holdings, Inc. It's for a change in zoning from C2 General Commercial and R4 High Density Residential Districts to C2 General Commercial District. In addition, on this item, I have provided a correction to the board, to the clerk to the board. On this item, there is an amendment to finding of fact number 1, which reads in the end of that finding, the applicant has voluntarily agreed to record a deed restriction imposing use restrictions on the subject parcels prohibiting auto repair and auto body shop use. Additionally, finding of fact number 11 now reads, the subject rezoning shall not take effect until the deed restriction referenced in finding of fact number 1 is recorded and delivered to the county. With that, this is a recommendation for approval.
Okay, I have no one signed up for this item. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one,
Move
let it remain
approval.
on consent.
Oh, leave on consent.
Okay. P5, proof.
Published in the Tampa Bay Times, August 24th, 2019.
Item P5 is PDD 19-7431 in the names of Lucas and Charlotte Hutchison. It's for a change in zoning from AR1 Agricultural Residential District to an AR Agricultural Residential District. This comes here with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay, I have no one signed up for this item. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one, let it remain on consent. P6, proof.
Tampa Bay Times, August 24th, 2019.
Item P6 is PDD 19-7432 in the name of Emmett Lionel Thompson. It's for a change in zoning from an AR Agricultural Residential District to an R1 Rural Density Residential District. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Again, I have no one signed up for this item. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one, let it remain on consent. P7, proof.
Tampa Bay Times, August 9th, 2019.
P7 is PDD 19-1179 in the name of Connerton Village 2 MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District, Lennar Homes LCC. This is for a substantial modification to adjust the regional park and elementary middle school campus boundaries to remove the extension of Pleasant Plains Parkway north of Connerton Boulevard based on the exchanges in the land swap agreement between Lennar Homes LLC, District School Board of Pasco County, and Pasco County. Additionally, there is an addition of an additional neighborhood which encompasses 268 acres, which would add 225 single-family units from the remaining Phase 1 entitlements for Connerton, and it updates the Connerton Village 2 internal access points to reflect the pending development and to amend the conditions of approval related to the proposed modifications. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions as contained in your packet, and this is from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay, is there anyone here, I don't have anyone signed up. Is anyone here in the audience wish to speak against this item? Okay. Let it remain on consent.
P8.
All right, P8.
Published, yes, published in the Tampa Bay Times, August 28th, 2019.
Item P8 is PDD 19-1236 in the name of Connerton DRI, Lennar Homes LLC. It's for a development order amendment, and it's a resolution amending Map H of the development order to reflect the land swap agreement between Pasco County District School Board of Pasco County and the master developer of Connerton, including adjusting the regional park and elementary middle school and Village 2 boundaries, and removing the extension of Pleasant Plains Parkway north of Connerton Boulevard to match the Pasco County vision map. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
Okay, I have no one signed up to speak against this item. Is anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one, let it remain on consent. P9.
P9 was published in the Tampa Bay Times, August 9th, 2019.
P9 is PDD 19-CU49. It's in the name of Maven Park Holdings, LLC. It's for a land excavation operating permit and conditional use to allow approximately 165,000 cubic yards of soil to be excavated and exported from the site on approximately 105.87 acres in a master plan unit development district. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions that's contained in your packet from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay, I have no one signed up for this item. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one, let it remain on consent, and I entertain a motion on the consent items.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
P10.
P10 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 21st, 2019, and August 28th, 2019.
Good afternoon, Heather Wolf, Real Property and Planning. The Real Property and Planning team has received a petition to vacate filed by Denise Horn. The petition is to vacate an approximately 5-foot by 70-foot portion of a platted buffer easement. The petitioners have requested this vacation for the purposes of obtaining a permit for a shed. There were no objections to this petition, and the Real Property and Planning team recommends approval.
Okay, I have no one signed up for this item. Is anyone in the audience here to speak to this item? Seeing no one? Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. P11.
P11 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 10th, 2019.
Hazel Caldwell, Public Works. This is PW 19-0112 Oldgate Circle, PVAS number 3347. In 2017, the Board of County Commissioners authorized a temporary repair of storm damaged roads with a condition that Public Works bring these roads back for board-initiated projects. This project consists of 4 roads. They are county maintained and paved. The estimated cost is $479,690, and the maximum cost per ERU is $5,513.64. The discounted amount is $92,921.66. The maximum cost per ERU after the discount is $4,385.23. This is a map of the Oldgate Circle PVAS project area, and just a couple of photographs of the road condition. And staff is recommending approve.
Okay. I don't have anyone signed up to speak against this item. P11. Is anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing no
Seeing
one?
no one, I would move approval.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. P12. Proof?
P12 is your 6:30 public.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. So that finishes everything we have at this point for the day till tonight at 6:30. Anyone got anything to bring up now? Nothing? No.
Good job, Chairman.
Okay. With that, I will not be here tonight, and the vice chair will be taking over my spot tonight, but I'll be available by phone. So for that, we adjourn.
everybody. We're going to have tonight the second public hearing for the final budget for Pasco County, the 2020 Pasco County budget. We can please rise for the invocation and pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please pull it up. Yep. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll. We need the mics on, by the way. Mics are off. Yours on? Mine's on.
Are you hearing? They're hearing.
Okay,
Board
thank you.
records.
Okay, you're hearing, but I don't even have power. You're on.
There we go.
Is that it?
It's
Okay,
just the
cool.
volume was.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I need the volume a little bit. All right, Madam Clerk, please call roll.
District 2, Commissioner Mike Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Catherine Starkey.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Mike Wells.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Here.
And District 1, Chairman Ron Oakley is not present, and Commissioner Moore is sitting in as vice chair.
Great, thank you so much. This is the final public hearing to adopt the fiscal year 2020 budget for the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida. Citizens will be provided an opportunity to speak during the public comment portion of the hearing. Does the clerk have proof of publication?
Yes, we do, in the Tampa Bay Times on Friday, September 13, 2019.
Thank you. In accordance with Florida Statute 200.065, the first issue to be discussed in the recommended millage rates and the percentage changes from the rollback rates. Mr. Goring, sorry.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the aggregate millage rate as advertised in the trim notice was 9.2971 mils, which represents a 0.3% increase from the aggregate rolled back rate of 9.2694 mils. The reason the aggregate millage rate is higher is because the total taxable value increased between last year and this year, generating additional revenue levied for the same millage rate. Table 1 in your handout shows the millage rates for the various county levies and a comparison of the recommended millage rates to the rolled back rates and to the prior year adopted millage rates. Rather than read this chart into the record, we have provided copies to each commissioner, board records, and members of the audience. At the first public hearing on the budget, the Board of County Commissioners adopted a budget based upon the millage rates used in the trim notice each property owner received. Those rates are shown in column F. At this time, I'd like to give a brief summary of the General Fund, Transportation Trust Fund budgets, stating the final millage rates, the percentage change from the rollback rate, and the reasons for such change. The final millage rate for the general fund is 7.6076 mils, which is 2.25% increase from the rollback rate of 7.4405. This morning, the County Commission received a presentation outlining the amendments to the tentative budget. These changes will have no effect on that final millage rate. The county realized a 9.3% increase in taxable assessed values over the past year. Compared to the current fiscal year, the final general fund expenditure budget represents an increase of $44 million. The main contributors for this include a $20 million increase in reserves, fully funding the sheriff's budget request, a 6% wage increase for the board and constitutional officer employees, $6.8 million for business plan initiatives such as the EMS Quality Assurance Initiative, the final year of the restoration of library hours, and an emergency generator replacement plan. It also includes $6.6 million for investments in infrastructure such as the Starkey Ranch District Park baseball fields, 2 roller hockey rinks in partnership with the Tampa Bay Lightning, various information technology projects, and the facilities master plan. Prior action by the Florida legislature eliminated the requirement for a mandatory transportation ad valorem tax. No transportation millage was levied last year, and we propose no millage be assessed this year for the Transportation Trust Fund. At this time, I would like to ask the board to accept public comment and then vote on the general fund and transportation trust fund millages and associated budgets. The minimum vote required to levy the general fund millage rate is a simple majority or 3 votes according to maximum millage rate calculations.
Thank you. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak to the board regarding the general fund and the transportation trust fund I don't have anybody signed up. Anybody in the audience would like to speak? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. If there's no discussion by the board.
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
Mr. Chairman, please is there a motion to adopt the final millage rate for the general fund of 7.6?
Okay, we can go that way too. Is there a motion to adopt the final millage rate for the general fund of 7.6076 mils?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the final millage rate for the transportation fund of 0 mils?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, I will now provide a summary of the Municipal Fire Services Unit budget, stating the final millage, the percentage change from the rollback rate, the reasons for the change. Let me start that again. The Municipal Fire Service Unit Fund has a tax levy of 1.8036 mils. This represents a 5.31% increase from the rolled back rate of 1.7126. The increase in property values results in an additional $4 million for property taxes. The total fund is $3.8 million higher than the current year. This increase is primarily attributable to the negotiated firefighter wage increase as well as staffing for the new fire stations. At this time, I would like to ask the board to accept public comment and then vote on the fire MSTU millage rates and associated budget. The minimum vote required to levy this millage rate is 2/3 or 4 votes according to the maximum millage rate calculation.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak to the board regarding the Municipal Fire Service Unit? Anybody? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt a millage rate of 1.8036 mils for the Municipal Fire Service Unit?
So moved.
Have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I will now provide a summary of the 4 voter-approved debt service millage rates. These millage rates are levied to repay the debt service for the general obligation bonds to include the jail project at 0.0277 mils, fire rescue at 0.0222 mils, parks and recreation projects at 0.01 mils, and library projects at 0.0096 mils. Since this is the first year that these millages will be levied, there is no comparison to last year's rates. At this time, I would like to ask the board to accept public comment and then vote on each debt service millage rate. There is no vote requirement for these millage rates, so a simple majority or 3 votes is all that is needed.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak to the board regarding the 4 bond millage rates? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt a millage rate of 0.0277 mils for the jail facility bond?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt a millage rate of 0.0222 mils for the fire rescue bond?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt a millage rate of 0.0100 mils for the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources bond?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adopt a millage rate of 0.0096 mils for the libraries bond?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the following is a summary of the remainder of the budget. If you refer to Table 2 in your handout, you will see the revenue sources and allocations identified by type without regard to individual funds as stated, prior to any action taken by the board here this evening. The budget totals $1,465,713,041 net of interfund transfers. At this time, I would ask that the board accept public comment and vote on the final budget. There's no vote requirement for the budget, so a simple majority or 3 votes is all that's needed.
Thank you. We will now receive public comment on the final budget. I have nobody signed up. Was anybody wish to speak? Seeing none. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2020 budget as outlined by the staff, including these adjustments made since the tentative public hearing presented to the County Commission at its regular meeting earlier today. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, the actions you have taken here today has set the final aggregate millage at 9.2971 mils, which reflects an increase of 0.30% above the rolled back rate. I will now read the resolution adopting the millage rates by title only. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, adopting the final levy of ad valorem taxes for Pasco County for fiscal year 2020, providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion for approval of the resolution adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Pasco County for fiscal year 2020?
So moved.
I have a motion?
Second.
A second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion passes.
I will now read the resolution adopting the budget by title only. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2020, providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion for approval of the resolution adopting the final budget for Pasco County for fiscal year 2020?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion passes. This concludes the final public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody. Thanks, Bob.